Any distortion? Any feedback?
No, I'm talking about the
Oh, picture will come.
okay. Next, Liberia, I'm chairperson and members of the Board of Commissioners, our international and local election observer groups, national partners
Let's check.
for the national election. Of the 2023 general elections that starts today. Without much ado, the chairperson of the National Elections Commission, Madam Dewieta Brown-Lansanen.
Good afternoon to all. Thank you for coming. Madam Co-Chair, fellow commissioners, distinguished stakeholders, fellow Liberians, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the headquarters of the National Elections Commission on this Election Day edition of the Commission's daily press briefings. Members of the press, the National Elections Commission is pleased to report that voting began this morning, 10th October 2023, across Liberia, and reports available to the Commission indicate that most of the polling places opened on the scheduled time at 8 a.m. The polls have generally progressed well throughout the day across the country, following a very rough start that was occasioned by huge turnout of enthusiastic Liberians to cast their ballots. The Commission also reports that while voting is progressing generally across the country, there are a couple of noteworthy challenges, specifically in the southeastern counties of Sino and Rivers. Due to the heavy downpour of rain for the past 5 days, the Planson River in Sino County, which is located on the outskirts of Greenville, overflowed its banks and crossed the main road leading to most of the centers in District 2 of Sino County. All efforts by the NEC staff to cross the river from both sides have proven futile so far. This has affected the conduct of polls in at least 11 precincts in District 2, Sino County. Also, the truck carrying electoral materials to District 1 in Sino County got stuck in the mud in the Buto area, also due to the heavy downpour of rain and bad road. The election magistrate has arranged a fleet of motorcycles to convey the materials last night, the 9th of October, but were also challenged due to bad road, leading to late start of polls in that area. Due to the situation, the Commission will extend the voting time in those areas. In Rivers County, the Timbo River also overflowed its banks, and the NEC vehicles with electoral materials were unable to cross at the time. When the water receded, the vehicles carrying electoral materials arrived late at their destinations, leading to the late start of polls in those areas. Some of the precincts in Rivers District 1, Mowe, opened as late as 11 a.m. Voting is continuing in the district. Members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, as we approach the closing of polls and begin the counting of votes, I urge all Liberians to remain peaceful and wait for the results, because the NEC is committed to ensuring that their votes count just as you cast them. In closing, the Commission thanks all Liberians who turned out to vote today. The NEC also thanks the over 30,000 polling staff and the Commission's technical staff for their sacrifices. The Commission also appreciates the national security apparatus for helping to create the enabling environment for the conduct of polls. As we approach the close of the polls today, the Commission is assured by the Ministry of Justice that the gaps in the deployment of security has claimed their attention, and they will respond immediately. Many thanks to all stakeholders and those of you in this hall for your support. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We have
Thank you. Madam Chair, my name is Gerald, coordinating a read for Front Page Africa newspaper. We received reports that our center in Sando County, people there may not vote because about 5,000 ballot papers were damaged due to the heavy rain. How do you respond to that?
Thank you for acknowledging that, in fact, we have difficulties due to nature. The Commission, as always, has responded in a way that assures Liberians that they will have to vote because it is their right, and they will have to exercise their franchise. Even if they cannot vote today, arrangements will be made for voting to take place in those areas concerned.
Next.
Thank you so much, Madam Commissioner. My name is Achid Born, and I report for Today Liberia Television. Madam Commissioner, there is in places where some group of people are roaming around with a tech that is not accredited by the National Elections Commission. And this has caused serious loss to various polling places that we have visited. So please, can you provide clarity on who are those that are responsible to visit polling rooms?
Can you please clarify a little bit by providing more information? You talk about some people having tags.
Yes. There's the issue around the Vamoma area where we visited precinct 30240, the Apostolic Foundation High School. There's a guide there purporting to be a general supervisor from the CDC, having a tech that only have a signature of the CDC Chairman Moruba K. Moru Jr. So there's the issue that there are only people who are accredited by the National Elections Commission are eligible or has the authority to visit polling places to observe how the conduct of the election is. So we want to know, is it acknowledgement of the National Election Commission of those that are going to the polling place with accreditation from the NEC?
I will answer your question by saying that every tag we have issued to observers bears my signature. And to attest to them, you can ask any one-year observer who has a tag. If it's not in the front, it will be at the back, meaning that my signature is on the tags coming from the Elections Commission. Any other tags that bear any emblem, seal, or what have you that belongs to the National Elections Commission, and it does not have my signature on it, it is fake. The Commission has not authorized anyone to replicate its tags using our logo. We have not given authority to anyone to do so. So anyone who is doing so, they are committing fraud.
Good afternoon. My name is Chiamaka Okafo. I'm a journalist with Premium Times Nigeria. I have 3 questions. I think to start with a clarification. So you talked about the flooding in Sino that has stopped election from happening. I'm not sure I heard when you talked about if the voting has commenced, and you talked about an extension. For how long will that extension happen? And then another question, at 12 House in Painesville, there's been a report that NEC officials were tampering with ballot papers in that area. Do you have any information on this? Thank you.
Question, I do not have information with respect to tampering of that process. You say it's 12 houses? Okay, we'll take note of this and check it out, but I have not received that information. When we say we will extend time, we say that if a process which should have started at 8 o'clock loses time for the voters to cast their ballots, we will add time, almost comparable to what they lost. But we're doing everything we can to ensure that Liberians will exercise their rights. But also we want to keep it within the time frame as much as possible. So what we say is that if for any reason those who perhaps came earlier to cast their votes and the polls were not open, we urge them to come before 6 o'clock. Be on the line before 6 o'clock, so that when 6 o'clock comes, when that line is drawn by the queue controller, you will be in front of the line, moving towards the voting precinct, so that you can cast your ballot. Yeah. Pardon me? In some areas that I have named, there was just a few areas that had this issue. Again, because the vehicles carrying the materials couldn't reach the point because of the river overflowing its banks. However, that happened, meaning that they crossed, but they started very late. So we do everything we can to, to complete their process. But let me assure you and assure all Liberians, because this is not the first time we have had these issues. The Commission is committed to ensuring that even where we have these challenges with respect to time, with respect to electoral materials not reaching the area, we will ensure that Liberians will actually vote. If it's not today, and if we have to arrange it for tomorrow, yes, they will vote.
So thank you. Thank you, Madam Commissioner. I'm Nelson Collier, and I report for the Spoon Network. We visited some centers, specifically in District 14. And aside from speaking to the presiding officers, we managed to have spoken with some of the observers. And at two centers where we went, one issue that those observers raised was that they were initially informed that on the day of voting, there was going to be a machine or something to be able to authenticate the voter registration cards to ensure that the cards that people are carrying to register are not fake. But they said since they got there, they've not seen anything of such. Madam Commissioner, can you confirm this information? If it is true, why isn't the machine available?
Can you please?
And then B to that question, sorry, and then the next question is, we also captured information from some of those observers that the ballots, the papers for presidential candidates, for example, for those different candidates should be 550, but there was shortages. There were some that were 400, there's 549, and all of that. How do you intend to address that as well? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The commissioner here can provide some information in addition to what I will say. We are humans first. If during the packaging of these ballots, they were not correct, 550, it's very easy. The system works such that all they have to do, borrow ballots from the next polling place to augment, while they make arrangement with the supervisors to bring in the additional ballots that created a shortage. So it's not a problem. Secondly, you say there were some observers who provided information to you regarding NEC saying that it will use machines. Who are those observers you want to say, please? Very important, my friend. Uh-huh. Okay, so let me address your concern because I think it's actually your concern, right? Okay, I wasn't there. It was you and you and them. But the issue here is whatever information you receive, the commission says that it has never issued such information to anybody, not you, neither to any observer. We are consistent in what we have put out there to the public. From the get-go, when we made the decision that we would do biometric voter registration, looking at the funding that came to the Elections Commission, we knew very well that the funding would be inadequate to procure verifiers for the elections. Therefore, we have been announcing from time immemorial that this voting time, we will not use machines for voting. That's what we said. We said it then, we say it now. No machines are being used for voting. Yes, no machines. Have you seen any? I didn't see any. Okay, thank you. Next question, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Ernest B from LBS, and my concern has to do with visibility. I visited a few centers. The place is a little bit dark. People marking their ballot paper, they have to lift it up. At the David Ware, GSC Road, the people are using torchlight. And if pool closes by 6 o'clock, counting will go throughout the night. Are you taking that into consideration?
Certainly, we have received these reports. Even at the Kendija school, we were told that the rooms were dark, and the fact that night is approaching, we should do something about it. I'm informed by the operations that they have some lamps available. Of course, flashlights have always been used in our context, so it's not strange that you probably may have seen flashlights there. Flashlights also on our mobile phones. But we're doing the best we can to address the situation. I can assure you that.
Joyce Lewie is my name, and I write for the New Republic newspaper. I'm concerned about a post by Adama Desta, a human rights activist, and he says in his post that PUP has secret ballot papers and voting cards. Can you confirm that has that reached to the attention of the commission?
I cannot confirm that because it has not reached the National Elections Commission. But I assure you that if anyone has any other cards other than the ones that we have printed, we will know because we have security features on them that we know.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Commission. My name is Antonin.
And let me say something, please. If you have information like this, I'm talking to you, please. You, the lady, right, who asked the question? Oh, okay. I'm saying to you, if you have that information, it's easy to go to the police. Even if you don't have to even come to the Elections Commission. You just tell the police and they will move on that person who has fake cards, according to you. I didn't read it. Sorry, ma'am, I didn't read it. I'm just quoting what you said to me. But I implore all of us, if we see things that are strange, that don't look like it's coming from the Elections Commission, if you can't reach us, or if you reach us, you can also reach to the police, and they will apprehend those people. Next question.
My name is Antonin Grade, and I work with ECOWAS Radio. In West Point, District 7, the magisterial court was used for the registration exercise. But today, the voting exercise was transferred from the magisterial court to a center known as the Bishop Harris Depot Church. Just opposite the police station in West Point. I'm concerned, and other Liberians, people that register at that center that's been raising concerns as well. Why this transfer at this time?
So what exactly is the concern?
The transfer. Registration center has been transferred, and where they register is not where they are doing their voting.
Okay, so I would tell you that firstly, these structures are not owned by the Elections Commission. We negotiate with owners of structures to make them available to us for registration as well as for elections. So if on elections day we have issues regarding, us not being able to use some of these premises, we shift. We have to shift. And when we shift, it's not far from where we usually conduct business, so it's not a problem. I'm sure when you went there, you must have seen that people were voting, right? Good. So we're good to go.
Yeah, I'm Ernest B from Spoon TV. My question is, if there will be an extension of the time generally due to the large turn-up and slow queues.
Sorry, can you complete your question?
If NEC will extend the time generally due to the large turn-up and slow queues.
So then what? What is... I'm trying to understand you, sir. Bear with me.
Due to the time and slow queues, like we live, Sano County, they just started voting. If they're going to extend the time due to the slow queue, because the time should be 6 o'clock.
Yeah, okay, so I understand you now. We have told you just very recently that we allot time, but we also encourage those who are supposed to vote in those areas that started late, be on a queue before 6 o'clock. And those who are on the queue before 6 o'clock can even run up to so many hours. In other words, we want to complete all of them on a line, process them, they do their voting, and then voting ends in that particular polling place.
Hello. Madam Chair, good afternoon. My name is Yugbini Masale, and I report for Sky Communications. You talk about the problems that you have in two counties, Sino and Riverses. I did not hear you talking much about the rest of the counties, the 13 counties. So how far is the voting process going on in those counties?
We say that voting across the country went really well. Again, generally on time at 8 o'clock. So being specific, we drew out Sino and Riverses, which really have challenges in terms of getting the materials there, as well as being able to start or to continue their voting, even though our materials were late on arrival. And even now, as we speak, some materials are still being carried to other areas. We also told you that should these materials arrive very, very, very late, the procedure is the way we have operated in the past to allow those people whose materials have not reached them to exercise their franchise. What it means is that if we are to extend the voting day to the next day or another few days, we will do that.
My name is D. Olivia Bowen, and I report for Local Voices Liberia and Truth FM. Madam Chair, in the event of an extension, will the Commission's decision be communicated to all actors involved?
Certainly, as I'm doing now. We will inform everyone, including those who are to vote. Normally, when situations like these arise, we conduct CVE, we give some time to let the population know that elections will be held in that particular area, And our CVE personnel will go around, as well as the magistrate's office. Usually will put on the radio public service announcements, we will do jingles to get these persons from out of their homes on the particular day that we say the elections will take place.
Good evening, Madam Commissioner. I'm John Farr, and I work for the Radio Maria Liberia. Today, I was privileged to visit a few of the voting centers, and specifically in District 11. There was a situation there. A lady went to vote, and her name was on the FRR, but her picture was not seen in the FRR. And another situation at Lane Sioux Primary School around the Batnazo Area F, there was a misspelled name of one of the voters. I want to know if this situation have reached your decks, and if so, what the commission is doing to settle this situation. Are they going to vote, or will they not be allowed to vote as we are going fast to the closing time?
So then I want to ask you, what did you observe with these two situations?
I interacted with the polling staff there. He said, you are going to get back to the voters. They should stay on the side. So, and I had to move on to other places, so I couldn't stay there to see whether you are going to allow them to vote or not.
Let me also say that we have not received this information, but thank you very much for providing it to the Commission. The issue with no photo on a card should not stop or prevent any voter from voting, because there are other information also on those cards. The code, as well as, what else, Commissioner? The ID number and what have you. And those information can be used to search for the particular voter in the FRR. Also, the worker, say? The what? No, I'm still on this first part. It's possible that the NEC worker could also find that person by using a vc.necliberia.org by plugging in the data that's already on the card to generate the facial of that person. So it can happen. Nothing prevents the person from voting, even if the face is not there. But you know, we had exhibition, and we had encouraged all Liberians who had issues with their cards to come to the exhibition to correct them. Surprisingly, and in fact, this is something that usually happens when we have exhibition, only 1,000, a little over 1,000 persons showed up for that exhibition that we spent thousands, if not millions of dollars for. The process was supposed to be used to correct all of these things, including the misspelled name. Unfortunately, most Liberians, they go to the registration, but when it's time to check the details, they don't show up.
Yeah, my name is Harris Bele, and I report for Love FM and TV. I am more particular, and I will plead with you, Madam Commissioner, to provide this education for the public, because there has been many concerns from us, from the public towards us, the media, perhaps to explain better. We have received a report that some political actors are in the business of jotting down the serial numbers on the voting cards. To some extent, people believe that it is being used to influence the results, while others are yet to understand the reasons why most of those parties go about getting the serial numbers on the voting card. So we plead with you perhaps to provide our education as to whether or not the serial number has anything to do to influence the results.
Did you have any occasion to engage some of these political parties to ask them?
I have struggled to do so, but I definitely won't give me a clearer understanding as to why they are doing it.
But the Elections Commission is not the ones requesting serial numbers from voting cards. How should it influence the results? It doesn't. Doesn't.
Madam Chairman, my name is Afonso Kalama and I report for the People News Online. Around the Serena Hope School here in District number 8, we went there and we observed that people are voting, which is good, and there's a steps there, upstairs, the both are. So my question is, did you consider people with disability before carrying the center there?
Normally, we look for the most appropriate structure to use for registration as well as for voting. In the event that we do not get that cooperation from Liberians who own these structures, we have to make do with what we have, unfortunately. But I'm told by the operations that they have done everything possible to ensure that persons with disabilities are allowed to vote even when they are registered in structures that are elevated, as you have just explained.
I want to know, how does that work? And who will be there to assist them in the process? That's all.
You have the NEC workers there. You have NEC workers at those polling places. And they are aware that they should do everything they can to assist pregnant women, women with babies, old people, people walking with cane, people in wheelchair, people who have other disabilities. And this has been going on. I know for sure because I've been going around. I've just come from Bomi County and have witnessed such. Next question.
Yeah. I guess this will be my final question. Or you talk
is it
about
your final question or is the final question?
my final question.
Oh, okay.
You talk about extension in those areas where challenges are ongoing. And I know that NEC has a timeline to release final results. 15 days, and you are giving another county or whosoever that a challenge additional days. Won't that affect the 15-day period in announcing your final results?
It should not affect the 15-day period to announce the final results. And you see, the crafters of this law saw ahead of time that all of these circumstances, as we are explaining, would probably obtain at some point because inaccessibility is a big challenge for the Elections Commission, but it's a countrywide problem. So those who crafted the law said, you have the latitude of 15 days to announce the elections. And within these 15 days, if we are to conduct elections in any of those areas that have not received their materials, we would do it time enough so that we remain within that 15-day period. So perhaps we can take another 2 more questions and then we
we'll take it from here and then you.
Okay, so this is my final question. Nelson Kule, Spoon. Listening to the information provided with respect to the challenges encountered in the counties you just mentioned, one may be concerned as to why didn't the NEC consider another means of transportation, considering that people, especially who want to get to other parts of the country, sometimes will go there even by chopper, by helicopter, rather than the conventional means. Did NEC at any point in time consider an alternative, when it comes to how to get those boxes or those ballot election materials, considering how crucial the election is?
Yes, the Elections Commission thought about all of these things during our planning process. You recall that we had this issue before. This is not the first time. And this time around, like we did in the past, we hired commercial boats by way of the ocean to convey our materials to the southeastern region. And then at the port, they will be met on arrival by the magistrate's office with vehicles. They mount those materials on the vehicles and drive them into the counties where they will be offloaded at the magisterial offices. It is in our practice to use motorbikes. We also use, as we say in Liberia, kino. We use porters to carry these materials. We considered at some point to use a helicopter, but then again it goes right back to you, while we were thinking about it and perhaps discussed that in some meetings with IPCC members, it just went wild that we were using one of the candidates' a helicopter to convey our materials, which of course was a lie. I'm sorry to say that like that. But again, the land transport that we are using, we were assured that they will make it. And so we deployed much early. We deployed early enough. Some of these materials were being taken in the last 7 to 8 days to get to the destination. But I mean, the rain is just too much this year, and the mud is just too much. I'm sure you have seen photographs of trucks being stuck. Even motorbikes have had issues there. So the remedy here is that if our materials do not get to the point, we will conduct elections in another time.
Yes, my name is Gerald, calling in again for Front Page Africa. For the second time, in this entire presidential and legislative elections, what are the main challenges this commission is faced with, and what lessons have you learned so that you can put in place to address in future elections?
I would say to you that currently the main challenge the commission has is what comes out in the press. There's just too much misinformation, disinformation. Can you imagine the other day someone told a relative of mine that, oh, did you hear? They arrested the chairperson and put her in jail. And I'm here, I'm walking around doing my work. But it came through the press. The other day they said I had now moved from a house. I was living in the U.S. Embassy. Is the ambassador here? Have you seen me anywhere around, Mr. Ambassador? But it comes out in the press. So on a serious note, I'm saying we do everything we can to give you the correct information. And please come here. But, if we allow the politics to carry us for whatever reason, then of course we can understand the distortion in the information that is out there. We're doing our best, and we expect that the press will do its best. Because if we jeopardize the peace by way of hate speech perpetrated not just by the press but the rest of Liberians, then we will be heading for situations that we really don't want to happen in this country. So the press also too has a role to ensure that they inform the Liberian people about the right information at the right time. That is so important. I've been a broadcast journalist for more than 20 years. Our time, far different from this time. And I'm not accusing you because I know if I put my hand too much on the press, then they're gonna get me again. Yeah. So please, let's do it together. That's all I'm saying. You do good most of the time, but sometimes you exacerbate the problem that's coming from sometimes the politics that permeates, the electoral period. The last question, please.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Ulubanke King Akerele here, Chair of the Board of Angie Brooks Women's Situation Room. 2 issues. One, could you please clarify what appears to be the being going around that Sino is being delayed because of wet ballots? We'd like to get some understanding of the validity or otherwise of it. But the second point, I really want to pat your people on the back in connection with the issue of the disabled. I don't have the exact precinct. One of our people will send it. But there was a case where one of our observers went for observation, and there was a blind man who could not manage the voting process, and he needed help. and your people at the precinct he asked for help from one of our observers, and they allowed the observer to go in and help the blind person for his voting. I think it was very commendable of your people there. They could have said no, they could have denied it, but I believe it showed a thought process, which is commendable, and I want to say this item of commendation. We will give you the full title of the precinct and the man, but it follows from the issue that was raised earlier about the disabled and what you all were doing. So I just wanted to give a word of commendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me say on the issue of wet ballots in Sano County. This is not at my desk. Most of what we've heard has been by way of the radio and what have you. We expect our magistrate to speak to the issue, and then we will be able to provide that information. However, if our ballots on its way to the precinct and then to the polling place, if the boat or the canoe capsized and those ballots got wet, and they are being dried, or they await new ballots to come, I assure you that elections will be held in those places where we have problems with the ballots. Those are some of the risks that the staff take when we get in canoes and the canoes capsize. Even though most often we wrap the ballots first in the plastic that they come with, then we put them in, as we say, Ghana must go bag. But if they get really soaked in the water for a long period, the water seeps in those bags, of course they will wet the ballot. Yeah, so that's not a problem. We handle it. Elections will be held in those areas, we assure you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Board of Commissioners. Thank you very much. Our partners, local, international, the press will be here tomorrow again, same time. Thank you very much for coming.
Hello, my Liberian people. Tuesday, October 10 is our elections day. The voting will start 8 a.m. in the morning and end 6 p.m. in the evening. Here are things you need to know about the voting process elections day. 1. Make sure you have your voting ID card and go to the first center where you register to vote on elections day. 2. When you reach at the voting center, show your voting ID card to the NEC staff and stand behind the last person on the line. Do not stand in front of others who are already in the line. 3. Only people with special needs like the physically challenged, old people, pregnant women, and young baby mothers will be taken to the front of the line to vote. 4. After a while, it will be your time to vote. Give your voter ID card to the NEC staff so that he or she can check if you should be at that center. The NEC staff will also show you your polling place or room. 5. When you enter the polling room or place, they will check for your name in the final registration room. 6. You will be given 3 ballot papers on election day. Red for presidential, blue for senatorial, and green for representative. 7. You must mark with a pen or thumbprint in a box in front of the photo of the candidate of your choice. There are 3 ways to mark your ballot papers: check mark, or an X, or with your thumbprint. Note, you must only mark one time on each ballot paper. 8. If you mark using thumbprint, you should wait a moment till the mark dries before folding the ballot papers. 9. You should fold each ballot paper separately and put the ballots in the rifle box. 10. Your choice as a voter is a secret and no one has the right to know. Please watch out for the following on elections day. 1. All registered voters are to vote only one time. It is a crime to attempt to vote twice or more. 2. Please avoid violence during the election. Violence is not good during election because elections come and go. 3. Do not get involved in any campaign activities on elections day. If you see anyone campaigning, please report to the NEC. Vote Liberia, vote Liberia, vote Liberia.
This message is approved by the National Elections